Okay, so in the last tutorial, we went through the first couple videos and did activity 3 because it was a virtual activity that we can all do, both distance learning and here. So any of the physical, like actually using a light on an orange, we would normally do, but since we are in these times of uniqueness, we cannot do that. So moving on, we're going to watch a few of these videos, maybe not all. What we'll do is, since we are skipping activity 4 and 5, those are videos that you can watch on your own. What I will do, however, since we are doing activity 6, we're going to watch the video on master lighting, and then we'll watch the video on shot lighting, and then show you activity 7. So, with that said, let me get that video queued up. So we're going to watch master lighting and then show you activity 6.
Once we have a color script done for the entire film, we look closer at individual scenes to further develop how we are going to light them. If you recall from our storytelling lesson, a scene is comprised of many different shots, and each shot is defined by a new camera angle. As a first step, a few shots are chosen from each scene, and they are roughly painted to show what the lighting will look like. This allows us to see the direction of the light, its color, how much atmosphere there will be, and the value structure of the scene before we begin lighting on the computer. These paintings are called color keys, and they will be used by the lighting team as a reference while they are lighting the scene. Oftentimes, we'll choose a wide shot that shows as much of the environment as possible. This is so that we can get the broad strokes of the lighting design. Here is a wide shot from Cars 3 of the Thomasville track in the morning. Sometimes, we also paint a close-up shot of characters to help show what they will look like in this setup. For example, here's a close-up from the same scene in Cars 3. Notice how McQueen is in the shadow from the stadium. Having McQueen staged in the shadow and Cruz in the light at the end of the scene was an important story point that we wanted to capture in the color key. Cruz is celebrating because she's beat McQueen and she's in the light. But he realizes he'll never beat Storm, so we kept him in the shadows. Also, notice how warm the sunlight is on the ground, how cool the shadows are, and the dark value of the trees behind Cruz. These were all cues that we followed from the color key to help the sequence feel like early morning. Once the director is happy with the paintings and feels that they portray the look and feel of that moment in the movie, we're ready to start the actual lighting. Lighting happens in 2 main stages, master lighting and shot lighting. Master lighting is where we set up the lights for the entire scene. This involves choosing the correct position, direction, time of day, color, and intensity for the lights. Think of it as lighting in broad strokes, taking all the shots into consideration. Shot lighting is where we go in and adjust the lighting for each individual shot. We'll talk about that more in the next video. In this video, we are going to focus on master lighting. Let's bring in a few of our artists to help us out.
Choosing the right moments for color keys is, again, more of a practical problem as well as an emotional color-based idea. You might show like a wide shot to show the world looks like this at this point. You know, where you are, it's just the quality, the color of the thing. So often you might start with an establishing shot. You're trying to sort of seduce them into saying, that's what I want it to look like, and believe it can be done that way. And so when you finally get to lighting, they're totally on board with that direction.
It's important to have a picture. Otherwise, we can all say words. You know, we can all say, you know, a green glass holding a cup of water, and every one of us is going to be correct in whatever image is in our head and entirely different from each other, right? And so it's important to have some sort of like rough, grounded reference that we can all point at, understand what we're doing, and go off in a direction, and then allow it to evolve from there.
I'm Keith Cormier. I'm a lighting technical director.
My name is Jonathan Pitko, and I'm a lighting technical director here at Pixar. When I get the color keys, what I'm looking for is the overall mood and tone of what's in the scene, and if there's any sort of big story elements that we have to convey through the composition of light. So in this color key, you can see that we're coming into the arrivals departure area, and this is a nice example of where we're using color and light to create this friendly, inviting atmosphere. Everyone's happy and coming into this place, so we're using atmosphere in the background, which plays a huge part in the Land of the Dead, to create this nice colorful blue atmosphere interspersed with different pockets of warm light to always sort of show that there's something going on just around the other corner. And then in the foreground, we have a lot of pin lights of all different colors. We have street lamps lighting up. We have these big fire pits everywhere that are just, everything is subtly contributing to bring up the level of illumination so that it feels lit, it feels colorful, and it gives a nice sense of warmth and inviting the characters in.
For this color key, for family dinner, the DP had indicated that the center of attention was this dinner table in the middle of the room, and a lot of the room would fall away into darkness. And generally, when I get a color key, I've taken a look at what the main light is, what's the heavy hitter in the scene. And in this particular sequence, the main light is the light hanging over the table, and naturally there's going to be some bounce light coming off of the table. In this case, the table was white, and that way we got a little bit more bounce on all the characters. We tried to be true and authentic to the lighting scenario that was there, so the heights of the characters would make them brighter or dimmer because they were closer or further away from the light. And it ended up working amazingly well. That it happens to be an emotional moment in the movie where the family's arguing a little bit, and Bob ends up having a little bit of a heated moment, and he leans forward in his chair and he gets even closer to the light, and his face kind of blows out a little bit, and that really added to the emotional impact of the scene. And I knew it was really working, because I'd get done with the sequence and my heart would be kind of pounding a little bit, and I'd be a little tense. I'd have to take a breath.
In the following exercise, we'll provide you with a color key, and your job is to set up the master lighting and try to match it.
Okay, so based on that information, we'll go into our Activity 6 for Master Lighting. And basically, here's our color key, which is what we're trying to match. And so it would be like a sketch, looks like a painting like they did it. And so what we need to do is use our key light and our fill light to match that scene as best we can. Now, what we'll do as far as turning this in is we're going to do our screenshot. And so you guys use your snipping tool. If you guys ever want to use maybe a better screenshot tool, you could go into Google Chrome and use this one called Lightshot. This is the one I use because it's got more tools. So I can do things like highlight stuff and actually put in texts and stuff like that. So if that's something that you're interested in for more versatility, it's called Lightshot in the extension for Chrome. Anyway, so we're going to take that, so that's our before shot, and then we need to use the lights now to match our scene. So if I put my key light on, and right here you want to use this show help, because the light director is going to help you out. So it says add a key light by increasing its intensity. So key light, increasing intensity. So maybe I'll go at 0.78, and then it asks to do the fill light, so I'll do the same thing. DP says the left wall is too dark, so I'm going to keep going. And now it says DP says Mr. Incredible's shoulder is too bright. Wall too bright, too bright. So maybe I go here, I go back to key light. It says the high chair is too dark. Left wall too bright. Okay, so maybe I got to do some light color stuff too. Spread light. Okay, and then maybe we need an isolation light. Use key light. Up. And after going back and forth with your dials, you'll finally get to a point where you're going to get your check mark right here. So our director says that's perfect. So again, we're going to make our screenshot for the after so that we can see all the settings that we did. And that'll be for that exercise. And then the next one we have here is for shot lighting activity 7, so we'll watch the video first.
Once master lighting is complete, we then begin shot lighting. In shot lighting, we are adjusting the lights to support the individual shot. One of the goals of shot lighting is to direct the viewer's attention, to get them to look where we want them to. Oftentimes, a shot will have a lot going on that could grab the audience's attention. Here's an example of a very busy shot from Cars 3, first with master lighting, and here it is with final shot lighting. In shot lighting, we added more light to the tops of the cars from the track lights. This helped to give the cars more contrast, and it emphasized the fact that the cars are being lit by the lights on the track. The additional contrast makes the shot more dramatic. We also added more light to the dirt where the cars are driving and darkened the ground close to camera. This gave the shot more depth and helped the audience look where we wanted them to. As the cars swing around to the other side of the frame, in shot lighting we continue to keep that strong top light, which helps to carve him out from the background. In shot lighting, we artificially darkened the foreground car as the camera passes it. This helps keep the focus on McQueen, even though we can't see him on the other side. Losing the audience's attention, even for a split second, can make the shot less clear. Finally, when McQueen comes back into view, we shot lit him so that he was brighter on the top and darker on the side to help him feel dimensional. We also moved his key light so that he would have as much shaping as possible. By keeping the green car on the left a little darker, we make sure that the audience's attention stays fixed on McQueen. Another goal of shot lighting is to make shots work in context, meaning that one shot cuts smoothly to the next. As an example, here are 2 consecutive shots from Cars 3. In this first shot, we introduce Miss Fritter, the school bus. She is an over-the-top character, and we wanted to reveal her theatrically with lighting. However, in the master lighting, she was getting enough light that she could be seen standing behind Cruz and McQueen. So in shot lighting, we darkened her and then animated on a spotlight as a way to dramatically introduce her. In the master lighting of the second shot, you can see that the spotlight existed, but it was moving around. By locking down the spotlight onto the characters in shot lighting, we not only create that theatrical moment, we also improve continuity. A third goal of shot lighting is to make characters look appealing from the camera angle of the shot. In this example from Toy Story 3, Lotso is meant to look mean and even a little evil. In master lighting, there is a red light that is coming from the left side of the screen, but it isn't doing much on Lotso. So we added a new light onto him from that direction to emphasize the red and also give him more shaping on his face. We also added more red light to the Bug character and Ken, who are behind Lotso. This serves to not only give them more shape, but to also support the idea of the red light in the background. Since the light is red, it reinforces the idea that they are Lotso's henchmen. For more examples of shot lighting, let's hear from 2 of our shot lighters.
My name is Li-Han Lee. I'm a lighting artist at Pixar. We usually start with the DP for initial review, so we'll be on the same page on what's the most important elements in the shot. The DP may ask for some separation between character and background. Then we need to knock the background out by lower the contrast and bring more contrast to the foreground. Sometimes there might be background elements that's drawing unwanted attention. We want to tone that down.
You know, one of the things that I had in family dinner was in the far background, you see the kitchenette, which has a bunch of chrome things in it, and they were a little bit shiny. They weren't specific to the story, they were just sort of atmosphere. And you would see this kind of flashy stuff in the back behind him, and it's like, well, that's visually not quite working. It's close, but not quite. And so I dimmed them down a little bit so it wasn't so distracting. And we kind of sweeten things as we refine and polish.
Here's a shot that is very typical shot lighting scenario. This is an over-shoulder character conversation. When I just got this shot, starting from master lighting, everything worked out pretty well, except that we want to have more emphasis on the main character that's facing the camera. And we want to push the background further so we don't pay much attention to. I added the key light and tweaked the intensity to give this main character a more interesting and appealing look and add more atmosphere to the background so there's less contrast. Also, this shot will require some detail work. For example, there's this metal badge on the main character's hat, and we want to bring out that metallic quality. I added a special kick light to the badge only to bring out the speck from the metal. And because of the bring of the hat is black versus a black hair, we want to create some separation. I also added a rim light to have some kick on the edge of the brim of the hat so it separates from the dark hair.
Now that you have a sense of how shot lighting works, it's your turn to try it out. Let's return to the previous exercise that you set up the master lighting in. We can now take a closer look at one of the camera angles and shot light to it. Your goal in the next exercise is to match this color key by selecting the correct light and adjusting your light parameters. After this exercise, you'll have reached the end of this lesson on lighting. Congratulations! If you want to learn more about the science of color, check out our lesson on color science. Or if you want to learn more about how we render images, check out the rendering lesson. Both of these lessons are relevant to lighting, so check them out.
Okay, so now that we know about shot lighting, we're going to go into activity 7, which is shot lighting. And again, we have our example, and we just need to, and this isn't an easy one by any means, so it'll take a little effort. So we have to match this. And once again, I'm going to get my screenshot so I have it before, so I can see all the dials are 0, and this is what our picture looks like. And then I'm going to start making my adjustments. So I'm going to put this on first because I need the help, and our director says a key light is needed, so we're going to do that and take the intensity up. Maybe we'll take it to 0.8 for now. And then he says fill light, so we'll do that too. And so I'm looking at this area here to kind of match that right now. And I don't want it to be too bright, so I'm going to kind of go there for now. I'll go back to my key light. This ball needs to be a little brighter, but that's not really doing it for me. So it looks like I might need a different camera. Okay, so that's a little better. So maybe I'll do that, and then it asks for a bounce light. And then it says add a kick light. Which is incredible, is too dark, so would that be fill or bounce light? Let's see. No. Fill light. Key light. No. Kick light. Back wall is too dark. Table's too bright. So messing around with this till you get your green check mark. It does take a fair amount of time. I'm still having a little trouble with it myself, but you just need to go back and forth and follow these notes. Like that's the back window one. look for that check mark. On this one, since it's pretty difficult, I'm not really going to require the check mark, but make sure you get a screenshot that shows that you've filled all of these lights and that you've changed the settings. And that is the tutorial for the rest of this exercise. The next ones that we'll go through is the simulation with the springs and the bouncing hair from the girl from the movie Brave. See you back in class.